What is feminism? To simply put, it is a belief about the social, economic, and political equality of the sexes. Feminism manifests itself in a wide range of political and social movements, ideologies, and beliefs aimed towards achieving this equality. One has to remember that while the term feminism can, in fact, be subjective to different women across different spectrums, the broader idea remains the same. And yes, it is nowhere near man hating as it is perceived by a section of the society. Over the past few years, the term has seen a negative light. I don't need feminism. Feminism implies women are better than men, but women do already have equal rights. These are some of the common statements coming from the people who have little or no clue about what feminism actually stands for. We do have to realize the difference between a feminist and a pseudo feminist who disguises their unfair, self imposing agendas under the disguise of feminism. It is a well known fact that we have come a long way from the first, second, or even third wave of feminism. However, we still have a long way to go in order to assert women's position. Gender inequality is not just a theoretical concept anymore. It do exists even today, in the era of modernization as much as it did decades ago. Gender discrimination is deep rooted in the patriarchal structures of the society, which has conditioned people in a way to think of women as inferior sex. In today's episode, we would be talking about the flawed understanding of feminism, its ideation and fabrication, what it actually stands for, and what can be done on our part. Hello, everyone. You're listening to the Socially Desi Show, the podcast that motivates you to live, create, and inspire. If this is your first time here, welcome. On our show, we discuss tips and strategies with our guest speakers on how to tackle problems related to personal growth, mental health, relationships, entrepreneurship, and health and fitness. So hit that subscribe button and go check out our website at sociallydesi.com for more of such content. Today, I am joined by Aditi. She is a brand storyteller and a digital transformation expert. She is the proud recipient of Digital Transformation Women 2008 by Niti Aayog and has also won the Business Leader of the Year recently. Hello, Aditi. Welcome to the show.
Hi, Anurag. How are you?
I'm good. Aditi. How are you?
All well. And we are just hoping that the corona, news just goes away and we have much better news coming in. Also, because festivities are around the corner for India. So, all well.
So true, so true.
Yes.
Yeah, so true. And I hope everyone is fine at your place.
Oh,
Everyone
yes.
is hale and hearty.
All well. We did go through a corona wave ourselves,
Mhm.
and we were we were in the very first stage of being hit by the coronavirus back in the month of June. It
Mhm.
became a nightmare, but yes, how I have seen the whole India respond to it now, and how we've been tackling the situation, I think bravo. So I think the whole understanding of corona is about making sure that you do understand that humans do not control the world.
Yep.
And that is so true when we also talk about feminism, today's topic.
So true, so true. And it has actually opened a lot of eyes, and it has actually made people to think and realize what actually life stands for. So
Absolutely.
you can't live in a superficial world anymore. So you need to realize what's right and what's wrong and what can be done.
Absolutely.
So Aditi, to our audience who are not aware about you, why don't you tell the Socially Desi audience a bit about yourself?
Super, I'll do that. So, hi everyone, I am Aditi Ohri. I've been a digital marketer now since last 9 years, and I have this boutique agency, which is basically a MarTech solutions provider. We're based out of North India, that is Delhi NCR. We are called as Emporium Digital, and the startup, which is now a growing company, is basically into providing storytelling concepts for brands. We've worked with a lot of brands and brands from different industries, and it's been an entrepreneurship journey for specifically me and my business partner since last 6 years. So it's been a very interesting wave. While we've won a lot of awards, honors, eclots, etc. The whole concept was always about making sure that we do our thing unapologetically and we own our decisions. And that is also, I would say, the start of feminism. So to just, kind of build on what Anurag just briefed all of you about, let me start by saying there has never been a better time to be a woman.
Yeah.
Never. Never have women had so many different opportunities as they do now. From running countries, companies, and controlling their emotional and financial needs.
Hmm.
This is the time we've been doing it. And as a matter of fact, Anurag, I think it's not only true in India, but across the world that girls outperform boys, not just in school, but also in colleges.
Yeah, that's true.
We should be very happy, right?
Yeah.
But let me just blow out the trumpet loud and clear. Yet we come across patriarchy, pay gaps, the glass ceiling concepts, and the very recent Me Too concepts. And there is where, let's start by saying, modern feminism has started to undermine itself, which is a big problem.
Hmm.
So I think, a bit about me when I have to also give you. I come from a salaried class family where my father has been a banker and my mother has been a teacher.
Mm-hmm.
And we were two sisters. And my younger sister is, we were both brought up in a way where there was absolutely no difference in how, my parents would have brought a girl or a boy up, right? We
Right.
were just normal kids. So the whole concept of inequality, frankly, for me, never existed.
Hmm.
And bang, 2007, I come out of the, school world, out from the teacher's ward category, and see the real world. And wow, you have a girls quota, you have special quotas for, specifically girls, you have special coaches for girls, you have special places to sit for girls. Girls have been given quota, and I often hear a lot of men saying, why you,
Hmm.
why are you being given these special privileges? Aapko kya zarurat hai? You have enough of it. And there is where I felt and I started realizing, damn, there's a whole different world for a woman and a very different world for a man. And then came these zones when, because I mean, we come from a salaried class family.
Mm-hmm.
Starting in business never meant for me that it was a divide between a woman or a man, or how a man would run his business would be different from how I, as a woman, would run.
Right.
For me, it was simply being a business person, not being a businessman, which is the most common man connotation attached to the whole business, running concept.
Yeah.
And there is where the whole issue started coming with even my household, when my mother was extremely worried when I used to travel late, or my father at times would come back to me and say, this is not cool, you can't be working so late at hours. And when you start building a company, you do realize that you have to put and primarily give all that you have, your time, your effort, your brain, your soul to it.
So true.
It was a little difficult that time, but what eventually happened was that they did realize that, this is something which I truly love, and I would just not care about my gender or what were the social stigmas around me or the circumstantial pressures, as being someone from Delhi NCR would always be,
Hmm.
you know and I went out and I sort of broke the, kind of whole concept. But somewhere, eventually coming out, I used to often tell my younger sister when she used to ride that scooty, which is now like, more than 10 years old,
Mm-hmm.
that when you're going and this scooty breaks off, don't call back. Just try mending it, get the solutions to your own problem, and get it fixed and come back home. Don't call us or give us those jitters that you as a girl are lonely there, standing there, and, there's no one to help. And Anurag, you know what happened?
Mm-hmm.
Eventually, I also started getting scared with the way all of a sudden India turned out to be like half of the people do not understand the meaning of feminism, and the other half who do understand what feminism means, they are just fighting the wrong battle. So,
So
what
true.
I realized was in the middle of all of this, we were just lost. So now I don't tell my sister or any young girl or any even the older ones or a woman, fight your own battle. Because I realized as being a woman, it takes guts to fight battles, which primarily in a society like ours, and it's not just true in India, but also abroad, that in a society like ours, where, the concept of women and men are so different, it is not about equally trying to achieve something or giving equal opportunities to both you and me, but it's all about, I would say, parsed in a way which it looks like it's a little unclear to all of us.
Hmm.
So right now I feel, and I mean the recent, I think I remember the last year's, kind of Hyderabad rape case,
Yeah.
and the way I think my teammates came back to me and said we are really scared to travel on road, and it scared me too. So now is the time when I never tell my sister to, go and fix her own scooty when it's broken down. I'll be always be like, just call, immediately call and ask for help, which is not so cool living in the 21st century, you see. So
So
where
true.
is that? There is where I think feminism and the whole concept of if we are equal to you as a man just like is all questioned for me.
Yeah, I guess the bigger problem here is that the fundamentals are going wrong. I mean, uh, it's not a gender war that we are in. This is more of being equals and trying to bring in and bring out the voice of the women and giving them the respect and the place that they deserve. I mean, it's not about fighting for what's right or wrong. I guess the fundamentals have gone wrong. What do you say about that?
Absolutely. I think the whole concept, which you would also see out there in the boardroom reality,
Hmm.
do you realize that I, as a woman entrepreneur, I'm a very minority stakeholder, not only in India, but across the world? Women out there in boardrooms, etc., are now being pushed inside. And like you're rightly saying, the fundamentals have gone wrong. We do not understand what, being a woman is, or we do not even understand the concept of feminism.
Yeah.
And there is where the confusion starts coming into picture. And I think I do see a lot of better programs now coming, in form of, I would say, a lot of education, etc., when it comes to telling you about the whole equality system. But this whole generation to which you and I belong to will have to perish if we really want to make an impact and talk about feminism being about equality.
So
So
true.
there is where I think the problem is coming, because we all have been, kind of told. So you are told that, you cannot cry, Anurag, you're a man. I
Hmm.
have been told that sit properly because you're a woman. And these are not good things, and I remember a lot of people would often tell us that this is not what a good girl would do. So I think the whole concept of how do you define a good girl is absolutely flawed. The other flawed concept is I feel ashamed when a lot of girls would get up or women would get up and say, I am the man of the house. No, I'm sorry. You can be a woman and still do all that it takes, to do your thing well,
So
not
true.
be a man of the house. So, I mean, whenever somebody would turn around and tell me that you know what, you're so much of a son to your parents, I would always be of the opinion, nay, I'm happy being a daughter and let me be who I am, not changing my gender because I'm proud to be a woman. But unfortunately, the way, like you rightly said, because the flawed fundamentals are there from the grassroots level, a lot less women take the privilege or also get the privilege to be, kind of, let me position it like that, to be proud of who they are or to stand and to take a call of what they truly believe in, because there's so much of societal pressure, peer pressure, and your own family pressures on you as a woman, that you, I would say not you, but I would say 95% females I see come under that pressure.
Yeah.
So the whole concept has to start from the very grassroots level. Maybe, I'm just like thinking aloud with all the socially desi audience here. Maybe have these kinds of programs or, kind of mannerisms where, let's say a Montessori or a nursery grader is being taught about how you and I are equal. Even you can like a pink and I can have my favorite color as blue as a woman,
Yeah.
those concepts have to be, I think, pushed into our educational system, our thought, our mentality, to make that impact and to change that grassroots reality of the flawed feminism we are talking about.
So true, so true. And this feminism that we're talking about, we are considering the third world country, right? Because uh, right now the concept of feminism in the developed countries is way different. And like you said, right, outside the kind of understanding and movements are way different than what we have in India or maybe in any other third world country. So for us, the fight is even more severe. The fight needs to go on in the right direction instead of just trying to copy and paste what the West is doing. So I guess that is where understanding what feminism means for our country and for our society, that is more important, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. And let me put it like this: one of my cousin sister happens to be this renowned, kind of. She's a US based renowned scientist, a
Okay.
medical scientist, and
Mhm.
to my utter dismay, she's been like there since last 15 years, and she calls me and she tells me, "Do you know, to come to the directorial level in my own, kind of laboratory, it took me good, kind of fight to be put across these different, kind of scientists who were men, to get this position for my own self." So, I mean, I do realize that India to bahut hi piche hai, but I do also see that it happens in the very, in much of these developed and Western countries.
Yeah.
At the same time, when we talk about India, like you're rightly saying, I think the whole concept of, patriarchy and how, women are supposed to do this and that, and like you rightly said at the beginning of, kind of the wave changes of feminism. Now feminism is also, I mean, there are these historic datas of telling us that feminism is not a concept of only the 18th or the 19th century or the 21st century, but it goes back to the Greek time. Can you imagine?
Hmm.
तब से oppressed gender है हम, we're an oppressed gender who primarily feel that we are not safe, we are being targeted, or we have these, issues around us with people who are looking at us. Can you imagine? I was just seeing this. I mean, I must recommend all the audience of Socially Desi also to go and see this, kind of video which is being done by the print, where the print is asking questions, standing in the middle of, kind of Delhi NCR, which is our Connaught Place, where the, kind of journalist is asking, लोगों को आपको क्यों लगता है कि किसी लड़की का रेप होता है, एंड देयर आर मेन, दे आर जस्ट
Yeah.
गोइंग सेइंग कि अच्छे कपड़े नहीं पहनेंगी, छोटे कपड़े पहनेंगी तो थोड़ा तो दिल ललचाएगा ना. And they're so okay about it, that mindset is so okay. It's okay, kind of for them to say this, that it's a, why are we a rape country, in the world, because of the sort of a mentality we have. And if it has to change, it has to change in a way where, like we rightly discussed, from the grassroots level, from, kind of ways in which, there are these severe punishments given to the people who offend the whole concept of, women, or I would say feminism, that they are, I would say, वो होता है ना एक level पे उनको ऐसे punish किया जाए that next time somebody who feels like offending the whole system or the whole concept of feminism gets shiver down his spine before doing that. So that's the kind of concept.
You need to create examples, because unless you have an example in front of the people, then you will not have these people even thinking of that. So you need to set examples. I mean, there you have to start somewhere. I mean, take the example of this Hathras case which has come out,
Yeah,
right? And see the mockery of the whole system which is going on, right? So unless and until you make an example out of it, then you will not be able to move towards the right direction when it comes to, forget about feminism, like simply putting in the what do you say, what is right and what is wrong, giving justice.
absolutely. I think it's all about justice. It's not about even the, I would say, I would for a minute, kind of look at it from an angle where I would say, आप ये देखो किसी ह्यूमन के साथ कितना बारबेरिक एक्ट हो सकता है,
Yeah.
kind of atrocities. And this is not a very new thing. We've seen this, a similar case happened in the Nirbhaya, rape case, or the Hyderabad case, where these people have been absolutely brutal. And though Hyderabad case sad and, kind of an encounter, but the other cases, the way, kind of we keep on running the whole judiciary to give them their due credits about, kind of legal rights and all of that. It sort of just gives me this whole idea, as someone who has this rape mentality, that it's okay, to kya hua.
Hmm.
And, I mean, that whole concept of it's okay. Yeah, even if there are women who are being molested or raped and they choose to be quiet, because the system is such that, there's more of mockery than the support or the mental, kind of and emotional, support system that the woman would need. That, the country in itself is becoming more, I would say, dangerous, because we right now, because I do come from, digital and social media background, but to my utter dismay, I would say that the way we have started using this whole media, and specifically social media, that everybody is opinionated, has now started to become a problem, because everybody has an opinion, everybody needs to share it, and everybody has an, kind of way of plan of action for how to deal with the hathras ke, kind of culprits, or what to do with the Nirbhaya case ke, kind of parents who've been, whose child was killed during that act. So I think वहां पे भी वो जो concept है ना, जहाँ पे we've all got so much of freedom of speech that we are just going about blurting out everything and anything, is where the problem is coming. So I mean, for me, I really feel that when we talk about feminism or any of these, kind of recent cases, the whole concept would have to and should be about, being responsible, and, like, not, not a point of topic of discussion, but the way journalism is being done today, you know, about how women should behave, or, how, why did the rape really happen? You'll be shocked. All these regional newspapers or regional, TV shows, I mean, when I look at them, I feel so much shocked, because these are channels or these are mediums which are making opinions, and the kind of opinions they share about, in general about gender, it's actually very, very, shocking. And I think somebody needs to come out there, or maybe we should have a judiciary system which should come and take a control of what is being spoken about, and, how much are you supposed to be responsible for what you speak, specifically to in regards to this whole concept of feminism, and, the way women have to be treated. It's important, and it's becoming extremely like the need of the hour, I feel.
100%, 100%. I couldn't agree more. I mean, in fact, I was speaking to a couple of friends the other day, and this was something that even we were discussing, that today the journalism and especially the social media, meme pages or whatever people are speaking online, I guess it has just become like a fish market where everybody is just smelling bad. Like, there's no one who can actually stand up and put a thought which comes across as a well thought of and intelligent notion towards a particular issue. I mean, you look at Twitter, it's filled with bots, it's filled with IT cells, and people are just talking trash about each other. It has all become a political agenda. And in fact, feminism, if I look at it, I mean, tell me if I'm right or wrong, but let's say, a girl says, yes, as a woman, I'm a feminist, then she's looked at as a bra burning man hater, who's campaigning always about free the nipple and showing her underarm hair, right? So that's as a woman when you say you're a feminist. And when as a man you say you're a feminist, then you're branded as a whipped soy boy, somebody who's just like a submissive to his dominating women in his life already. So these are the two things which I feel are of greater issue, because unless and until the millennials today, they don't understand what's right and what's wrong and what exactly are they standing for. I mean, if you put up a post on social media, what does that actually mean? Do you actually mean what you write, or do you actually stand by of what you retweet? uh, I mean, I see a lot of youngsters who are just falling in this rabbit hole of never ending hatred. What do you have to say about this?
Absolutely, I couldn't agree more. Anurag, you know what? I mean, like you rightly said, feminism is all, right now tagged in this particular, I would say, box where, you hate men, or, it's like these various movements that you have to support. And there's this whole concept where specifically, there are a lot of, I would say, intelligent and opinionated women I meet, and a lot of times we all discuss and happily cheer about, is that you would never call a lady who's confident as someone who's confident. You'll always call her bossy, or you call her aggressive. You won't use those kinds of terms for a man. For a man, it's okay. It's the same concept which, you remember when we were young, we used to discuss about, if you date more number of boys, you are considered to be a slut. And if a boy dates a number of girls, he is considered to be a Casanova. And a Casanova was a kind of a title which a lot of boys wanted to have.
Yeah.
And a slut was a title which none of the girls wanted to have. So, my concept is that the whole concept, like you rightly said, is basically about, now putting you into boxes where they say, oh, अच्छा, आप तो ओपिनियनेटेड हो, तो आप तो फेमिनिज्म, आप तो फेमिनिस्ट हो ही पक्का. एंड अच्छा, अगर आपने लड़कियों के फॉर बात कर ली एंड यू कम फ्रॉम द ऑपोजिट डायरेक्शन, ऑपोजिट जेंडर, दैट इज बीइंग अ मैन, सो you're kind of लड़कियों का भक्त, या what a cry baby. So the whole concept, is, like we rightly understand, has been stitched in our head in a way that it looks true to all of us, and while there are a lot of these campaigns and these shows, etc., that we keep seeing these days, in tits and bits, where kind of they'll be talking about how guys who cry are no more kind of losers, or kind of, let's say, weak, or who, when girls are bossy, that doesn't really mean that they are aggressive. But the wholesome understanding is about being who you are. And because the kind of society we come from, and specifically India mein, the whole concept is about log kya kahenge mentality,
Yeah.
which basically which basically starts playing with everybody's heads, where we are not able to make decisions, or take our own calls, because we're just too concerned about log kya kahenge. And even if at a matter in a manner, let's say Anurag doesn't care about log kya kahenge, he will have external influences like his own parents, or his own family members, who will kind of have a say in whatever he is trying to do. So I think the whole concept which I see right now is basically in a way where there's this whole concept of pseudo understanding also of feminism, which is a very sad reality. कि मतलब अगर आप बॉसी हो, या अगर आप बहुत स्ट्रांगली अपनी असर्टिव हो एज अ वुमन, you are being considered a feminist, कि हाँ भाई आप तो feminist ही हो, आपको तो मतलब it's all about women are better than men. But the concept was never about women are better than men. I think it became, like we even started our show with, it became like that because as women we were like, no, this is how we are looking at equality. When it did not happen, it sort of camouflaged itself into, if you can't give us this, then we want this because we are better than you. So I think there is where the whole twist came into the picture, and it sort of very, I would say, sadly turned in a place where kind of, like I said, modern feminism is about has become about undermining your own self, which is the problem. So the concept has to be made in a way that there's a whole concept kind of has to be made in a way where you understand that it is about equality. It's about being equal. I have come across a lot of people who I interview and who would tell, if I'm supposed to work under you, I have a little bit of problem. Why? Because you're a woman. And while kind of, because kind of people we work with of course come from backgrounds which is where who are well to do, but there is this whole concept where I see, if my admin manager has to work under my HR who's a woman, and my admin manager, or let's say my clerk, is a man, he has severe issues. How can I work under a woman? And there is where the whole problem comes into picture. And I mean, it was very funny, but I recently rejected one of these kind of a very good person, I mean, who was supposed to join my team. You know why? Because he told me, शादी मैंने इसलिए करी क्योंकि घर में किसी को तो खाना बनाना था. So I got
Oh God.
so and kind of I remember, I mean, in my head I was like, ये क्या बोल गया? Does he even realize what he means? But that is a ground reality. And my understanding was, I can't work with him because tomorrow when I am his boss, he will have all sorts of problems with me because I'm a woman. So I think the whole concept also emerges from this learning, where there are these, kind of trademarks that, like I said, pink is for girls and blue is for women, boys. वो ट्रेडमार्क्स हमें तोड़ने पड़ेंगे और उनके लिए हमें आगे आना पड़ेगा. There has to be these educational campaigns. There have to be these, kind of concepts which have to go. I mean, for feminism, we do realize that India still has a very high ratio of, female foeticide, which is a very sad reality, even being in 2020.
Yeah.
So how do we change those setups, mentalities, etc.? It's a long, I would say, it's a long uh, journey to be taken ahead.
Yeah.
It's a long route, and वो ये है ना कि we'll have to, I would say, march towards the destination and just look at the journey, because जब तक we reach the destination, maybe we're not there in the world anymore. But I'm hopeful that the way I think women are growing, women are acting, women are owning up their decisions, that change shall also come someday.
Yeah, so true. I mean, at the end of the day, we have to start somewhere. And I believe that this start should actually start from our rural areas, from our tier 2, tier 3 cities, because that is where, till now, like, I believe that metropolitan cities have issues with feminism, but the kind of issues that we have in the urban lifestyle are way different, right? Then when it comes to women facing issues in the rural setup or in small towns across India. So when you say we should have educational camps, we should have these drives where NGOs or government bodies, or in fact, as we individuals, we can run those drives, we can run these community programs. But I guess that is where a majority of the women are being oppressed more when it comes to their equal rights and their freedom to live, most of all. So that is where I believe this movement should start.
Absolutely. मैं ना एक बड़ी funny बात बताती हूँ. When you were speaking, you said rural areas have this, have oppressed women. And the unfortunate reality is urban India has flawed feminism. So we are in the middle of nowhere. So one place, let's say the Bharat, doesn't know what feminism stands for. तुम औरत हो और मैं मर्द हूँ is the way they understand feminism. And urban India has this whole concept of, if I'm a woman, I'm supposed to, kind of blah, 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 blah. I can smoke, I can drink, I can, kind of do what I feel like, and I can be doing this and that, and, I'm better than you. Who the hell are you to stop? So, there's this whole concept of either aggression, which we also called as elite, feminism, which is about thinking that you are, kind of way ahead than men folk. And then there is this whole concept of flawed feminism, which is about, kind of thinking that feminism only means about, women asking and, wanting and, kind of begging for more rights for themselves.
Yeah.
So हम ना कहीं पे भी नहीं रहे इस चक्कर में. And there is where the whole problem has started coming into picture. तो yeah, I think rural areas में भी मैं बड़ा interesting बताती हूँ, because I am also a marketer. The whole concept, if you would also see, because Anurag, I do understand you're also a marketer, you will see that whatever happens or starts from, let's say, the urban India or, kind of इंडिया में जो होता है वो भारत अपने आप अडॉप्ट करता है, because भारत is aspirational. And whatever the, urban India will do, rural India would try, kind of gauging and getting a bit of it and trying, would try to copy it. A very interesting thing one of my mentors, told me once, and which I completely believe. You remember when we were young, we used to get NIK newspapers. तो वो न्यूज़पेपर्स के साथ NIE के हमारे साथ कॉन्सेप्ट क्या था, that we should all have a concept of reading newspapers and getting to know journal knowledge.
Yeah.
And this was one of these campaigns which this mentor of mine started. And she said a beautiful thing. Now she is into, waste management, etc. So, her whole concept is about making people believe in the power of, paper bags and not plastic ones. So, her whole concept started with this, notion where she would tell me that, I mean, there is this brown paper movement which she has started in these primary schools, So people and children do understand that plastic से better brown paper है जो कि मैं use कर सकता हूँ, dispose भी कर सकता हूँ, and it's not even harmful for the nature around me. And there is where I would want to add on, Anurag, not only in rural India but also in urban India, where kind of kids are going to school. Should this whole concept of feminism be, like I said, grassroots level say, be injected into them? That I do understand that they're kind of, as a woman or as a young girl, I'm equal to a young Anurag, who's just my partner. And kind of, it shouldn't be like a flawed concept that, I and you can not be friends
Right.
because our genders are different. So I think those concepts have to go out of the kind of picture, जहाँ पे ये concepts जहाँ पे हम यही बोलते हैं या समझते हैं कि girls are supposed to do this and boys are supposed to do this, but kind of start giving these booster energizers to kids at in rural India and urban India from school levels, ताकि जब ये बड़े होकर responsible adults बने तो इनको at least पता हो कि kind of how feminism was always about equality and never about me being better than you.
True. That's true. And what sort of roles and responsibilities do you feel today's parents should take up when it comes to educating their kids about feminism?
I think parents have. I mean, they are your first teachers, as a matter of fact. And the way the penetration of internet as well as kind of content, specifically digital content, is being dispelled throughout India. It's extremely important to make sure that the kind of content we show our child, or the kind of concept that we seed into our child's brain and mind, is there from day one. Like, I mean, I would want to say that when you talk about being an empowered woman, the whole concept comes in from the concept of course, my parenting. My father making sure that he supports my mother to his best of abilities and not letting any one of us realize that she's a woman and she's supposed to just sit here and cook rotis for you.
Right.
Or my husband, who would never ever complain about kind of why is it that you don't cook, or why is it that you don't take care of the house chores. Also because I chose not to do it, and he realized, do what your soul feels like. And then your mentors and your bosses and your friends around you giving you this whole concept of why is it kind of important to be who you are. I think with that comes parenting, where the whole concept flows into the picture, where there are tools, techniques of teaching the child to just take the right decisions. The thinking process has to be there.
Right.
I mean, I would often joke around with my mother, because she happens to be a teacher, that as Indians, one thing which I see a lot of us lack is lack of decision making. हमें इतना टाइम लगता है यार एक मैकडोनल्ड्स पे भी जाके ये डिसीजन लेने में कि शुड आई ईट अ मैकपफ और शुड आई ईट Maharaja, that it's not even funny. And I remember when I was a school girl, I mean, I used to often tell everyone कि party में क्या खाना है, जो ये खाएगी वो मैं खाऊंगी. I mean, now when I look at the young me or the mini me, my question would be, why were we not being able to take this simple decision of what is it that I want in my life, even if that means what I want to eat right now. So I think that whole concept has to start from an angle where, your parents have to teach you, or, as young parents, we have to teach our children. And that doesn't mean like our own biological children, but any children, who we think have these, kind of profoundly young minds and are shaping up in their, whole system to actually understand about the concept. So I meet a lot of young kids in my family, in my friend circle, at my office place with of my colleagues. And my genuine question to all of them would be, if you do something, why do you do it? And at times I'm just shocked, Anurag. Can you imagine? वो अभी भी काफी बच्चे गायत्री मंत्र पढ़ते हैं, उन्हें उसका कोई मतलब नहीं पता. And there is this whole concept still existing, which used to exist during when I was a young child, that kind of boys are bad and girls are the best. So that concept still exists, which is okay in a particular tenure or a period. But how do you evolve out of it is a very important role, where parents have to come into picture and have to always talk about this whole concept of being equal and kind of being at level with the others, so as there is no flawed reality about it. So I think that is extremely important for each and every parent to realize. So I think next time, when your daughter picks up that bicycle wearing those shorts, you should just let her be. And agar wo gir ke chot laga ke bhi aati hai, we should be the one who should be like all be okay about it. So I think that's the kind of upbringing that you have to give. Be gender shouldn't be just like bound with this whole concept of girls are supposed to do this and boys were supposed to always do this. So I think that's the kind of upbringing parents have to give. And luckily, like I said, itna digital content hai, acha digital content hai, that if used wisely and rightly can really help shaping kids understanding towards this whole concept of equality.
So true. I mean, I really liked the way you have portrayed this whole role and responsibility for parents, because even I believe that certain traditions and cultures in our society are good to be followed and good to be imparted to your kids. But then again, when it comes to making them future proof in their life and making them confident enough to lead a happy and healthy life going ahead, we have to make sure that the fundamentals of society and when it comes to feminism, or in general equal rights and being there and being yourself, needs to be imparted right from the early age. And that is very, very important when it comes to a good family setup. And
Absolutely.
a lot of young parents these days, who are listening to Socially Desi, we have been talking about a lot with our community as well when it comes to children and their mental health as well. In fact, we did one episode a few months back on maintaining your child's mental health, and during that also we interacted with a lot of parents, and this was one of the things that we also spoke to them about, that when it comes to mental health, when these kind of discrimination, they actually start from school itself. And
Absolutely.
this plays a huge role in their mental health going forward in the future. So it's really important that you make sure that if you want your kids to have a healthy mental balance going ahead, these things, these discriminations and all need to stop. And that is where the educators and the institutes also come into place. Like we now have sex education as part of the curriculum.
Hmm.
I believe making sure that these kind of topics when it comes to discrimination and equal rights, these also need to come out somewhere as part of your subject.
Absolutely. And Anurag, what I would also want to add to this whole concept is that as parents, the whole concept is not about only preaching, but also practically executing and showing your kids how, the system of equality does exist in your mind and in your system. I mean, I remember my father being extremely helpful. My mother's a teacher and she's usually running around because she has to, reach her school at 7:30.
Hmm.
It's my father who supports her end to end. So for me, the whole concept has never been about looking at them from an angle where, he's the husband or the man of the house and she's the woman of the house. For me, it's been these are two partners trying to, control this house, trying to raise these two kids and no gender specific. And they're just letting their kids be who they are. And then comes these institutions where you would run, you would see the kind of way where a teacher is usually supposed to be a lady, and a sir usually can be a part of a college but not at a school.
Yeah.
Those are the notional kind of parts where I think as people we have to become better. I was just recently watching, and I'm sure I mean I must recommend it to all the socially desi audience too. It's a beautiful series, very fun, very short series called as Parivar,
Hmm.
which has come on Hotstar. And funnily, there is this guy who's basically who's become like a kind of what do you call hospital attendant.
Okay.
And mockingly, it's a Allahabad based series, and mockingly they call the guy sister Didi, and they call
Okay.
ये तो sister है, ये तो sister है. So whole notion is nurse सिर्फ sister ही हो सकती है,
Hmm.
and या फिर एक lady ही हो सकती है. And though we all laughed at it in the I would say in that moment, but I realized that if somebody and I know as a matter of fact that my 15-year-old cousin is watching it. I mean, in my head, I was of the opinion, in this young girl's head, it is etched that a nurse is supposed to be only a woman and not a man. So I feel ये institutions के अलावा, like I said, digital content dissipation भी जहाँ हो रहा है, उतना responsible हमें होना पड़ेगा जहाँ पे हम ऐसी चीजों के बारे में mockery ना बनाएं, and we don't make these things to be like humorous, but look at it from an angle that it may leave an impact on me. So, I mean, I do know as a matter of fact that a lot of flight stewards are called as like, kind of air hostess.
Yeah.
And people would usually look at them so mockingly and, ask them that, why are you, kind of doing a woman's job? So these are notions and these are understandings which I think have to go from the whole mindset, and we have to look at it from an angle that while our parents do their major bit, which is still 60% of it, these other institutions that you just spoke about, institutions हो गए बाहर के, circumferential जितने भी आपके पास environmental factors हो गए, ये हमारे लिए ऐसे एक्ट ना करे जहाँ पे there's a differentiation shown between a woman and a man. So I think that's extremely important.
And it also boils down to, like, okay, there were a few issues earlier, right? And, right from Sati Pratha to untouchability. So India has had its fair share of, traditions and culture, which was wrong at that time. And we realized it later. It took us a lot many decades to realize this. And this is also one big issue now that we in the 21st century need to realize that we cannot in any way going forward should categorize a particular job title with their gender, right?
Absolutely.
So that is again the idea behind this episode is also to make sure that we reach out to everyone in the audience, whether you're Hotstar, you can sponsor me, by the way. And and of course everyone who's either making content, consuming content, whatever you are doing, the idea is to make sure that you understand any job title this in this era is not fixated to a particular gender, right?
Absolutely.
Like, I'll give you a very a good example of a janitor, right? So janitor, generally people think that they are men, but I've seen female janitors as well. So
Yes,
so it's like, we are just I don't know, we are just stuck to that mentality and that era which has way gone by. And this is high time that we should come out of that era, even if those are a couple of things left, but just just get rid of them so that we can lead forward with a good and a beautiful society that we wish to.
absolutely. So true. I think, I mean, I have always seen a lot of when, kind of, at a lot of places, I've seen people telling me that HR, men are to be mocked on because, HR थोड़ा ना करते हैं लड़के. That's the whole concept, where which is like, kind of having positions or titles being only, talking about
Hmm.
how your gender has to be specific. So that's so true. And yeah, society needs to see a change overall in our thought process, in the way we deal with things, in the way I think, kind of at a smaller level, kind of I am questioned so many times, by a lot of old people around me that why are you not changing your surname, why is it that your maiden name is still behind while you've been married? And I mean, it's so strange for me to answer that question, Anurag, because for me, I mean, it changes nothing between me and my husband or the love we have for each other,
Yeah.
but these small things, and you're being judged that maybe you're just too bossy around him, or you know what, maybe your marriage is not here to stay for long because you both are not so much committed to each other. I'm just so shocked because for me, I'm like, wow, that is how you define things, that is how you define relationships. It's a shocking reality also, but that's the true reality. But I think I have seen a lot of, like I said, I have seen a lot of girls come under these pressures and primarily get their surnames changed or do what the society feels like. It definitely takes a lot of guts, a lot of abuse also
Yeah.
mentally, when you take a stand for yourself, because all of a sudden you are seen like someone who hates humans, but that's not true. And I have really realized that whenever it is about, standing for feminism, it is about, like, kind of empowered women empower women. That's
Hmm.
the kind of concept which really stands true. So I mean, and it's just not there for only women, let me tell you. I mean, I feel a lot of empowered men who believe who believe that women are their equals, are also beautiful support system in this whole journey. So while I'll still in my head, before we go offline from Socially Desi show today, believe that let's say 70% janta is still unaware, believes in either elite or pseudo feminism. There is this whole complete, like, 30% janta of both men and women who truly believe in the concept of equality, and that is like a happy thing to say. And of
Yeah.
course, in the festive season of October.
So true, so true. I mean, and before we wrap up the episode, you have been working with a lot of corporates and you run your own company as well. What do you think that somebody should do in their workplace policies in order to bring in these real changes?
Super. I think one of these, I mean, one of the award shows that I was recently awarded asked me a similar question.
Hmm.
And mere paas na, luckily, this is like given, like, I have this on my fingertips right now. So I think the very first important thing at corporate level would be about, making sure that there is absolutely no pay disparity between men and women, which is unfortunately not reported but exists in even large corporates. So I think
Hmm.
वो pay disparity हटानी पड़ेगी सबसे पहले.
But how do you distinguish a pay parity? Pay parity. How do you distinguish? Because when you say, because I know a lot of people can debate on this, and
Hmm.
I wanted to get a clear picture from you. When you say pay parity, what does that
Hmm.
actually mean? Because let's say a guy and a woman are working, let's say, as consultants for your company, right?
Hmm.
So how do you define their pay parity?
So it's simply done on meritocracy. आप merit को उठाओ merit के हिसाब से. If let's say Pooja is better than kind of Gagan,
Hmm.
Pooja gets more pay. As simple as it looks. I mean, I really have never understood this whole concept of there has to be a pay gap because Pooja is a woman and Gagan is a man. No, that doesn't exist. Shouldn't exist. So
Yeah.
I think also luckily, and you would agree with me when I say that, Anurag, because अब क्या हुआ है काफी जगह पे ये पे डिस्पैरिटी, ये जो पे पैरिटी थी हमारे पास, अब ये धीरे धीरे कम होती जा रही है. Why? Because the whole concept has started moving towards meritocracy, and then there is a whole social media wave जो कि tomorrow you do unjust to me as Pooja, I mean, and do something better for Gagan, I will just go out and make sure that I don't leave you, kind of, I would say, I don't let you pay for the kind of damages you've done to me. So I think also corporates ने भी ना ये पे gap को कम करने की कोशिश करी because of a very simple reason that they feel now, you know, merit के ऊपर we'll have to base our decision. So
Yeah.
that's number one. So I mean, even when we hire people or a lot of agency people or a martech product companies that we deal with, I mean, I've seen some wonderful women working and they get more paid than men, or kind of men getting more paid not because they're men but because they have better merit than the woman. So I
Right.
think that is what makes sense to all of us. So that's also very logical and sensible.
Yeah, it has to be based on merit. It has to be based on your competencies, because at the end of the day, if you're trying to let's say, I'll take an example of any appraisal that comes in. So
Hmm.
for any appraisal, I guess the HR, I mean, this is sadly what I see in corporates these days, that HR is just a face. Right.
Hmm.
So all the appraisals are done by the manager. Everything is done by the manager. The HR is the one only signing it and displaying it on their emails or whatever.
Hmm.
So I guess HRs need to have a better role, a bigger role in this. And when it comes to having a fair judgment of what they have done in the past year, when it comes to their appraisals. And that is where I guess a lot of when you say pay parity gap is still lurking around, because even if, let's say, Pooja and Gagan are in the same position in the same company having the same pay, but end of the day, next year maybe Gagan can go up, right?
Yeah.
With a big margin. Of course, I'm all for Gagan if he has done a good job. I mean, if Pooja hasn't done a good job, it's okay. I mean, she doesn't deserve that. But if let's say it's just because of favoritism, or
Hmm.
because his manager, Gagan's manager, is a patriarchal, kind of a flag bearer, then that's a big problem.
Absolutely agreed. Absolutely agreed. But like you're rightly saying, I think with the advent of more digital, etc., I think HRs have also started, kind of taking a lot of, and with so many, technological upgradations happening at workplaces nowadays. I mean, I am happy to flaunt. Let me put it like this.
Hmm.
I'm happy to flaunt when I say that, we have a clear productivity index, and that index just tells me that somebody is at a 60% or the other person's at 93%, and gender is absolutely not seen there. So I think absolutely agreed that there are ways and means where, you're absolutely right that even I have heard examples or seen my own friends being kind of paying the paying the like they say, paying the uh, what do you call, rent of being a woman. But at the same time, there are things happening for betterment, and I feel ki as we go and as we progress, the society is going to become such that, because a lot of people are getting voices, again thanks to social media, they will not keep quiet, and this whole parity and disparity will come to a place where, things look a little better and merit is given more priority. And then I think extremely important are clear hiring guidelines.
Yeah.
And I think you would also see that there's this whole concept of gender equality coming into picture, jahan pe, equal number of women have to be there, or you need to make sure that there is like a 60-40 or a 70-30 ratio coming into picture at workplace, which is extremely important for us. So there is and then this beautiful, I think, the Companies Act, which was, which came into picture in 2019, said equal board representation. So you now need to have a woman on board.
Yep.
And you'll be shocked, Anurag, मुझे मतलब I would say monthly एक किसी tech startup का या फिर एक startup from financial world or somewhere or digital marketing से आ जाता है call, because they want you to be now there on kind of board of directors. And there is where you would, as a woman, just sit, try questioning them, understand कि वो तुम्हें कितना चाहते हैं on the board of directors, just because you're a woman or because you have merit. That
Yeah.
is for a woman to evaluate. So I think that's an extremely important, even as women, our responsibility to take care of. But
So
at the
true.
same time, I think it's extremely important कि equal board representation शुरू हो चुकी है, and this should be seriously taken in. And I think at even Emporium Digital, that is my company, we make sure that we sort of empower women with compulsory self defense training.
Hmm.
Is थोड़ा बहुत या फिर kind of एक concept जहाँ पे you're being given pepper spray, or you're being taught these karate tips and techniques, so as you are self aware about making sure that how to defend yourself in a time which nobody wants to see, but if in case it happens. So I think compulsory self defense is an extremely important training that all women should get in kind of various multinationals or SMEs or mid-sized companies from here onwards.
So true.
And I think then gender sensitization sessions for male employees, I think that is so important. And I remember, so I mean, this is also very important for all Anurag lovers and socially desi followers, that
Anurag lovers.
so we sort of connected because there was this whole post on LinkedIn which I'd done for the mensuration, leave pay, which was given by one of these, kind of new age
Hmm.
companies, new age product companies, where, I was questioning and challenging the whole status of why do we really need a mensuration leave? Because कल हम जब वो mensuration leave लेंगे तो I do think about my college friends who would always come back to me and say वो मेट्रो के अंदर एक्स्ट्रा कोच क्यों है तुम्हारा,
Right.
ये बस के अंदर क्यों विमेन के लिए सीट्स रिजर्व की जाती हैं, ये कॉलेज के अंदर तुमने क्यों 10% कोटा ले लिया हमारा. So there is where the whole mensuration I think conversation also was about maybe no sick sick and no question asked policy should be there, rather than a mensuration kind of sick leave, letting the world know that I'm on my periods. And not that somebody should be ashamed of it or should be like, "Ki, why should I tell the kind of whole world," but it is all about making sure that
Yeah.
while you're going through the cramps and while you are absolutely in utter pain, it's okay, because kind of it's okay to take a sick leave,
Yeah.
rather than making sure that this is my right of being a woman, because I bleed, so I deserve a holiday or a leave. Not the concept that we should breathe and understand. And there is where I think the whole concept of male sensitization comes into picture, because I mean, tomorrow me and you, Anurag, we start working, and I mean, in the very first month of us working together, I go on a period leave, then I take a CL, and then I tell you that I mean, I am equal to you, and then I go on a maternity leave.
Yeah.
So you would look at me and say, Ki, why do you think your money should be equal to mine? Don't you think there has to be a pay parity which needs to come into how I am going to be judged or how you will be judged? And there is where, like I said, extremely is feminism important about women taking their own responsibilities and understanding ki it's not about flaunting or flouting the rules which the world has set for
Yeah.
us, but using them judiciously, which is the most important thing. Otherwise, though, I think kind of the whole concept will keep running, and like I said, we'll have to perish to see the true meaning of feminism. Unfortunately, हमारे perish होने के and reappear होने के बाद भी feminism will not come in its true form senses.
Yeah, but I guess people have started to take a positive step towards the whole movement. And even though we have a lot of pseudo feminists and people who have a flawed understanding of this whole movement, but there are people who are doing good. And right, this whole scenario of having menstruation leaves. I mean, even I believe that see, menstruation is personal, right? Everybody understands that. In at least the who people who are working in the corporates and who are in the metropolitan city, at least I would like to believe that they understand this. So trying to tag it specifically does not make sense to me also, because as a woman also, I mean, for you also it doesn't make sense. Just simply put it as a no question asked leave and give it to everyone. Yeah, because at the end of the day, see, anybody who is an asset to the company, that particular person, nobody, no company in the world would let you go. Okay, they would want you to be with the company as long as the company exists, because you are the superstar and you're a superwoman, superman, whatever you want to call it. So, be it man or woman, I mean, there's one, a big thing that Gary Vaynerchuk said once in one of his interviews. He said in his company in Vayner Media that
Hmm.
he has unlimited leave policy.
Hmm.
So he doesn't have any number of days that you can take leaves. He says, I have unlimited days. So you want to go for the whole year, go for the whole year. But at the end of the day, see, everybody has to see, you will be appraised at the end of the year. And at the end of the day, if you are not performing well and somebody else is performing well and better than you, then of course that person will get rewarded, be it a man or a woman.
True, so true, absolutely.
Yeah. So that is where Aditya and I, for guys who are a bit they must be thinking, what are they talking about? So this is how Aditi and I met on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
This was where we had our first interaction on her comment section, and then from there, we spoke to each other, and that is how we connected. And I wanted to get her on board on this episode to talk a lot about these issues, because as a women leader, she is in a good position to actually tell you about all these things and expose problems which are there lurking around and what can be the right solutions. So, with that, Aditi, I thank you very much for coming on to the Socially Desi show and being such a good guest today.
absolute pleasure, Anurag. Just to, let everybody know, guys, we were just not about, kind of, it was just not about, कि हम menstruation sick leave के बारे में बात कर रहे थे, but we also had an added point to, the whole concept, which was about making sure that while urban women enjoy a lot of rights, which you would have heard through the show, there's this whole neglected rural women, even when they're on periods, the very next day they're either working or the very same day they're working and also having sex just because it's the need of the hour. So I think unke liye it's extremely important that we do understand what feminism is about and make India a better place to be.
So that wraps it up for today, folks. If you liked the episode, give it a big thumbs up, share it with your friends, and let's go viral. Remember, our weekly podcast features episodes on personal growth, mental health, relationships, business and entrepreneurship, and health and fitness. We would love to have Aditi on our show again in the future to discuss more about such social issues and much more. So, if you haven't yet done so, hit that subscribe button and go check out our website at sociallydesi.com. And as always, before I sign off, remember, life is black and white and everything in between.